Drones can capture what normal eyes can't. They fly in the sky above the mortal plane and see things that are not meant to be captured. Here are 15 most chilling things caught on drones. Number 15. Indian man trapped on the cliffside for 2 days without food and water. What was supposed to be a fun experience would turn into an absolute nightmare as a young man on a trek with his friends became trapped and stranded on a sheer vertical face of an isolated canyon. The man named Babu had set out to climb the Sharad Hill with 2 others when he slipped and became stuck in the cleft of the hill. His friends would then try everything from wooden sticks to logs and even ropes before they then decided to head down the hill in order to seek out the help of villagers and the local authorities. The visuals from a drone show him sitting in what seems to be a precarious position on a point in the cliff. The boy can be seen sitting in a crack on the canyon, fairly far below the hilltop. Several attempts would be made to rescue him, but none of them were successful, including the use of a helicopter to get him down. Babu was facing the scorching heat with no food or water, and he was stuck in the unbearable heat of the day and the windy and cold weather of the night, with fear of wild animals roaming around. At the same time, all of the attempts to save him from the police to the fighting force to the NDRF and even the Coast Guard were unsuccessful until the chief minister would come and intervene, seeking out the help of the army to rescue the young man. The rescue operation was launched, and army officers crawled for hours to reach him. They gave him water before helping him to the hilltop. Indian Army drone footage would show the moment that Babu emerged safely with the aid of a rope as rescue teams cheered him on. This was a terrifying event to witness, and many people who have mentioned it reminded them of Danny Boyle's 127 Hours, but unlike Boyle's movie, the Indian Army rescued the man in the end. Number 14. The loneliest man on the earth. Brazil is home to many unaccounted tribes. Dubbed the loneliest man in the world, a solo tribesman who lived alone in the Amazon rainforest for more than 20 years would be captured on film for the first time. The mysterious tribesman is seen swinging a handmade axe against a tree in the Tanaru indigenous territory and is the last surviving member of an uncontacted tribe that was massacred in the year 1995. The indigenous people of Tanaru have been forced from their land and subjected to a series of brutal attacks by shooters, likely hired by colonists and ranchers. FUNAI, the Brazilian government's Indian Affairs Department, confirmed that the man's presence was there in 1996, but has been respecting his desire to avoid contact with mainstream society. Nonetheless, they have spent the last 22 years monitoring the survivor's territory in order to ensure that it remains protected. The solitary figure is also known as the Indian of the Hole, according to the organization, on account of the stave-filled hole that he digs to trap animals. Officials have observed the gardens that the man has built throughout the forest, where he's grown corn, bananas, papaya, and other things, along with the holes up to 6.5 feet deep, which he uses to catch animals and also to hide in. The man is believed to be anywhere between 55 to 60 years old and is living alone in the Amazon rainforest. His name, his tribe, and his language all still remain a mystery. Number 13. Finding a missing person curled up on the riverbank. Now, you can't really expect to find a missing person in the middle of the night, let alone find one curled up on the riverbank in the middle of the night, but that's exactly what happened in April of 2021 in Avon, Somerset. Using WhatsApp and What 3 Words, a caller gave the police details of the last known location of their friend, which was in a remote area of farmland with rivers and streams nearby. It would be dark and there was fog, and the temperature was more cold than usual, indicating the person's well-being was in danger. Police would search the area, but they were unable to find the missing person in the given conditions, so they then requested the help of the fire service to locate the individual on this dark and foggy night. A drone would be deployed from the Avon Fire and Rescue Portishead station, and using the drone's thermal imaging camera, they would try to identify areas for the swift water rescue team to investigate further. Just moments later, though, crews would spot an image, and when they zoomed in, they could clearly see the outline of a person curled up next to the river. Swift water rescue crews were alerted immediately and directed to the exact location, and then rescued the missing person. Avon Fire and Rescue then began their investigation and further investment in drone technology in April of 2021, and their investment would help to save a person's life using that advanced technology. Number 12. Police drone finds car crash victim freezing to death. Thanks to modern drone technology and quick thinking of the police, a car crash victim would be saved who was lying unconscious in a 6-foot deep ditch in the darkness of the night. The drone was deployed after 2 a.m. when witnesses said that they had seen a man walking away from the scene of the accident on the A16 south of Grimsby, where a car had flipped onto its side. Desperate to find the driver of the car, Lincolnshire police used their drone, equipped with thermal imaging, to search the scene, as offers from Humberside police would search on foot. Within a few moments, the drone managed to find the driver unconscious in a 6-foot deep ditch 160 meters from where the accident had occurred. The remarkable footage shows the drone finding the man due to his body heat, as he lies several feet off the main road where he had lost consciousness. A police officer is then seen walking towards the man, being directed by the drone pilot. When he finds him, he calls another officer who is seen running to the scene, and as an ambulance is called, the man was initially unresponsive and hypothermic, but was okay due to the fast drone deployment that would save his life, just as hypothermia was setting in. Number 11. Glowing lava lake in its full fiery splendor. Getting close-up shots of a fiery interior of a volcano's glowing lava lake is nearly impossible. Well, thanks to a special heat suit and some pretty advanced technology, an intrepid adventurer was actually able to capture Ambrium volcano's raging depths on camera. This incredible footage documents Sam Kosman and his team's harrowing journey into the Marum crater, one of only 7 lava lakes on the planet. It's located on the remote island of Ambrium in the Republic of Vanuatu. In 2014, 33-year-old Sam would leave his home in San Francisco, California in order to fulfill his dream as a digital storyteller and tech explorer. Sam and his team would use high-tech drones, virtual reality cameras, and wearable biometric sensors, all in order to learn more about the geology of such an extreme environment. The aim of the project was to get a better understanding of how microbial life could exist and colonize in such an extreme environment, and the results would help scientists to better understand the volcano and really showcased how the highly controlled flying cameras might advance science and exploration. While it was a dangerous journey which included toxic superheated gas, falling boulders, acid rain, and violent expulsion of molten rocks, the crew made it back safely before a large flank eruption triggered by an earthquake that could have killed anyone even remotely in the area happened. Number 10. Police drone saves missing pensioner. The mind goes over all the unpleasant possibilities when a loved one goes missing. Roy Giblin got lost in the overgrown field, and his life would be saved by a police drone which found him in the long grass. Roy was just 82 years old and would be found by drone pilots after he went out for an evening stroll on June the 8th of 2021. The pensioner then became disoriented while walking along through the long grass, and his worried family then contacted police when he failed to return home. Search and rescue teams and the RNLI would search the waters off of North Wales with the National Police Air Service, police officers, and a drone unit involved in the search. With the ability to search close to the ground and also carry out detailed imaging inspections from above, something a helicopter is actually unable to do, the drone was able to oversee where officers were searching on foot in order to locate Mr. Giblin. Thanks to the drone, Mr. Giblin was eventually located after an 18-hour search in an overgrown grassy area near the train station, as these series of images will show. His family said that without the assistance of the drone, that he didn't stand a chance. Number 9. Drones find unexpected radiation hotspots in a forest near Chernobyl. Following the 1986 accident at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, high levels of radiation killed between 4 to 6 kilometers of coniferous forest. The trees' needles turned red before the trees died, and Chernobyl's red forest is one of the most radioactive locations on Earth and has been surveyed by UK scientists for quite some time now. Near ground zero of the catastrophic 1986 explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, aerial drones recently revealed radioactive hotspots that don't exist on any official maps. An interdisciplinary team flew special drones over Ukraine's Red Forest and one of the most radioactive spots in the world, which is located 0.3 miles from the Chernobyl complex. Using data from drone observations, the scientists would create the most detailed map to date of radiation within the forest. They also pinpointed previously unsuspected locations where contamination was unusually intense. Radiation contamination in the Red Forest was already known to be higher overall than in any other natural site on Earth, but nevertheless, the scientists found the radioactivity there was actually unevenly distributed. While radiation has subsided in some areas, others maintain contamination levels that are dangerously high. The drones would identify a few unexpected hotspots, and those are helping scientists to create new maps in order to prevent visitors' risks and get a more clear picture of the affected area. Number 8. Drone finds lost tomb with 72 ancient skeletons. A tomb containing the ancient remains of people from a lost pre-Hispanic civilization has been found by amateur archaeologists on the holiday island of Gran Canaria. The mummified remains of 72 skeletons belonging to natives of a society that lived there were discovered by a drone. The amazing find included 62 adult skeletons and 10 newborns. They were found in a ravine on the island of Gran Canaria, which is part of the Spanish Canary Islands. Experts have confirmed the discovery and linked it to the Guanche civilization, as the cave dates back to between 800 and 1000 AD. Guanche people are thought to be the original inhabitants of the Canary Islands and may have traveled there from North Africa. Historians believe that the people were ethnically and culturally absorbed by Spanish settlers when they colonized the islands. Archaeologists would go down to the burial site, and that's where they found traditional burial shrouds that were made from vegetable fibers and animal skin, and that confirmed that all the prehistoric Hispanic people in the Canary Islands were prepared the same way for the burial ceremonies. According to reports, the cave is located 23 feet from the ground, and experts had a hard time climbing up to it. The cave would initially be found with the use of drones by members of the amateur archaeology group El Legado, which was formed by 3 friends with a fascination for archaeology. One of them would say, "We were flying a drone and we took some pictures of the cave. It is in a very difficult place to access, and you need to climb a cliff to reach the site. People thought the photos were fake because of all the bones there." The amateur archaeology enthusiast would go on to say that they had discovered the cave at the end of June of 2019, but had only reported it to the authorities recently out of concerns that it may get vandalized or even looted. The discovery of the cave with the bones is new and can be used in further research and studies by archaeologists. Number 7. Remains of 5,000-year-old henge monument discovered in Ireland. The archaeological landscape that exists 30 miles north of Dublin, Ireland, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is thought to have been thoroughly researched and excavated. But during an unprecedented 40-day drought in 2018, a photographer by the name of Anthony Murphy would discover the remains of a 5,000-year-old monument when he deployed a camera drone above the field. Murphy believed that this was undoubtedly the site of a henge, an enclosure formed by rocks or wood that the ancients would use as a gathering place. Together with a friend, he launched a drone and discovered evidence that such a structure had been there in the past. The drought was vital to encounter signs of the structure visibly. According to archaeologists, the soil beneath heavy objects holds more residual water. With a 40-day lack of rainfall, the discrepancy between untouched patches and those that had previously been substantial objects placed atop was made glaringly apparent. Chief archaeologist for Ireland's National Monument Service, Michael McDonagh, described the discovery as a once-in-a-lifetime event that could contribute greatly to their knowledge of this magical archaeological landscape. You can also see the captured aerial footage of Anthony Murphy, as it's freely available to all. Number 6. The aftermath of a tsunami. Drones are not only used to find things that have never been discovered before, but they're also used to witness natural disasters like tsunamis and tornadoes. On September 28th of 2018, a 7.5 magnitude earthquake would strike near the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. While the earthquake did minimal damage, it did trigger what was thought to be a small tsunami. Shortly after the tsunami, experts found that in Palu, the capital of the central Sulawesi province, waves would reach 20 feet, which was more than double the initial estimates, according to Scientific American. Central Sulawesi is located on a very long and narrow bay that's only about 20 miles wide, so the tsunami moved quickly through the area, sweeping across the land and dragging tons of rubble directly into the ocean on the other side of the bay. The ground also became heavily saturated, which led to large mudslides that only added to the total destruction. In total, the tsunami, one of the largest to hit Indonesia in more than a decade, would take the lives of over 4,300 people. Within days of the disaster, drone footage of the city would begin to emerge. Seeing the ruins from above, you can understand the scope of what occurred. Bridges lay collapsed, houses are little more than debris, and some areas are still underwater. You can see the damage that is done to the city, and this is straight up terrifying how perfectly happy a place can be converted into something like this. Number 5. A huge forest fire. We typically see dozens of forest fires threatening people and property every year, and they get larger and larger. While there's never a shortage of videos of wildfires, they're often taken from the ground or from a helicopter, which naturally can't get too close. On the other hand, drones might have similar problems to helicopters, like choppy air and visibility issues, but they can get closer and still be far more safe than a helicopter full of people. This clip looks like a standard nature video until the drone flies above the tree line, where you can see smoke on the horizon. When the drone moves in for a closer look, you get a sense of the breadth of the fire. A huge swath of trees burns, and the smoke fills the sky. While the scale of this particular fire is not as big as some of the wildfires we've seen on the West Coast in recent years, it still looks enormous and gives a sense of scale for those massive fires. While these drone operators did specifically go out to film this fire, that's probably not the wisest idea. You shouldn't get too close to large fires of any kind. The footage of the fire is a glimpse into all of the larger wildfires that do occur in Alaska, Arizona, California, and so on, and their impact as a reminder to remain mindful of our activities and prevent actions that can harm the environment in any way. Number 4. The scary shark hunt. Sharks have officially been scary since 1975. Before that, they were merely unofficially scary. People often filmed them, but drone footage from the Discovery Channel is a whole other level of creepy. A crew of researchers uses a drone to film sharks from above due to water being cloudy and captures one doing what sharks are best at getting ready to eat. As seen from above, the shark then hunts for seals, which normally hide near the rocks close to the shore, to avoid this situation. However, due to a high tide, the shark can maneuver the rocks more easily, and the film crew can tell what's going on from the shark's behavior. They then brace themselves for marine predator lunchtime theater. A seal, seemingly unable to detect the shark's very close proximity, swims directly toward the hungry enemy, and within seconds, the shark darts forward, attacks, and then moments later, blood surrounds the two in the water. It then begins shaking the seal, and though the experts in the crew assure us that the seal was probably already dead, it's still very sobering to see, especially since the animals had no idea that they were being watched in the first place. This is officially scary. Number 3. A man climbing a 1,500-foot broadcast tower. Now, you probably see cell phone towers all over the place and every day, right? But have you ever wondered how the stuff at the top gets installed or maintained? As it turns out, it's usually someone who just straight up climbs the tower. A cell phone tower is typically about 200 feet tall, which is pretty high, no doubt. But what about a 1,500-foot broadcast tower? You might be thinking that there must be some special way of doing maintenance on those, but no, it's the same story. Somebody very calm under pressure scales the entire thing to work on that equipment. It's basically a free climb as well. While the climbers do have some safety equipment, a lot of the heavy-duty stuff is, well, very heavy. As you can see in this video, it shows one of these climbs thanks to the magic of drone technology, and even if you're not scared of heights, there's an excellent chance that this would still make your skin crawl. For reference, the free climb is over 1/4 of a mile straight up. And if you don't count the tip of the Willis Tower, which was formerly the Sears Tower in Chicago, it measures 1,450 feet. So this tower is actually 50 feet taller. That's a long way up, and it's guaranteed to freak out a large chunk of the population. Number 2. 1965 California plane crash wreckage. A chilling discovery would be made by an underwater drone that may have just solved a 56-year-old aviation mystery. A new sonar mapping technology drone has stumbled upon an airplane deep within California's Folsom Lake waters. The nearly intact wreckage matches the description of a 4-seater airplane that would crash in the area in 1965. A Piper Comanche 250 aircraft crashed into the lake on New Year's Day of 1965 following a mid-air collision. While the pilot's body would be recovered, search crews could actually not find the plane or the 3 passengers who were on board that day. With the relatives of the victims desperate for closure, a second search was then attempted in 2014 on the 50th anniversary of the crash, and then after 3 full days of searching, exhausted volunteer divers were forced to give up. However, when technicians from Folsom-based hydrographic surveying company Seafloor Systems got down to the lake to test their new equipment, they noticed something quite unusual. While mapping the water's depths and the shape of the seafloor, a feature on the bottom of the lake looked as if it were man-made. So that's when the team went back again with an underwater drone equipped with sonar mapping technology to confirm their suspicions. And surely enough, it turned out to be an airplane. The team was able to collect clear images of the tail section of the plane as well as the propeller, and these matched the description of the plane that would crash there in 1965. Plus, the team also jotted down the GPS coordinates of the wreckage in the lake in order to aid potential recovery efforts. Now, it is worth noting that the discovery was made in the deepest part of the lake, almost 160 feet underwater. The location is also several miles away from where the aircraft was believed to have gone down originally, but researchers are pretty sure that it's the 1965 aircraft. Number 1. Stunning hidden Himalayan glacier. Technology continues to revolutionize every aspect of our modern lives. Drones enable us to record landscapes in the bird's eye view, fascinating and breathtaking views of vast vistas, distant horizons, and inaccessible risky terrains. The Himalayan mountain range is amongst the most picturesque and beautiful places on the planet. It's roughly 2,400 kilometers of landscapes and waterscapes that's also home to a rich biodiversity of flora and fauna. The Himalayan region has the 3rd largest snow and ice deposit on Earth, and it has roughly 15,000 glaciers of various sizes, with a lot of them still undiscovered. David Kazlakowski, a Polish photographer, in shooting his documentary K2 Touching the Sky and searching for the best location to use, would make use of a DJI Phantom drone in order to investigate a particular area in the K2 mountain. K2 is known as the 2nd highest mountain on Earth. After setting it up, he flew his equipment above the mountain. Near the area of Concordia below K2, at the convergence point of glaciers Godwin-Austen and Baltoro, the photographer saw the 3rd glacier. It was a strange one that was surrounded by water 65 feet in width. He then considered the newly discovered glacier special, allowing him to make an elegant graphic frame with the glacier's melting and disappearing forms that changed daily. He knew that he had the unique opportunity to photograph it, and it was quite unlike any other because no one would be able to see it in the same way during the next season. Accompanied by a guide, he then trekked to the area at night in order to capture the glacier's beauty. The resulting images were surreal and a unique piece of photographic art that is matchless in its beauty.